Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to give you a brief macroeconomic outlook of what is to come for 2025. I'm going to cover sectors like finance, tech, crypto, and others as well. This is based off a paper I released recently on Substack. Cover this in the description below. But essentially, I'm going to give you an outlook for 2025 and help you navigate 2025 better. So to start with, let's start with the financial sector. So right now we have good economics for a business growth. So we have lower interest rates. Central bank continues to lower interest rates because it sees that inflation is already being subdued. And so even though inflation kind of stabilized around 2%, it's still, it's still a good sign for the central banks. Right, this is the interest rates in the U.S. sitting at 4.5%. It's expected to continue to go lower. Central banks are expected to continue to lower interest rates, which favors the business sector in general because the cost of borrowing goes lower. So obviously it gives room for more profitability. Another tailwind for growth in the stock market is deregulation. There's going to be a big deregulatory push by the new Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration in the U.S. So 2025 is looking positive for business in general. So good sectors you could look at in this environment is the following: real estate investment trusts, or real estate in general benefits from lower interest rates because, like I said, the cost of borrowing is lower, so developers can go and take a big loan and then essentially use that money to rent properties or buy properties or flip properties and then pay back the loan more easily than if they had a higher interest rate. Another sector that's going to be favored in this type of environment, growth macroeconomic environment, is tech. So tech is, like I said, it's benefiting from a demand in AI as well. AI is a tailwind for technology in general because AI is a horizontal technology. So we're going to look at AI in multiple sectors, not just technology. We're going to look at AI in medicine, in finance, in law eventually. And it's just going to be like another infrastructure for the internet. It's just going to be like talking about, let's say, cloud computing or a web browser. It's just going to be another component of the web that we're going to be living with. It's going to cause a lot of increase in productivity as well, which propels growth even higher in business in general and increased profitability, which benefits the other sector I'm going to talk about, which is dividend stocks. Dividend stocks usually do well in periods of low interest rates because, like I said, the cost of borrowing is lower. So this means that essentially these companies can use more of their profits to share with shareholders because the cost of borrowing is lower. So there's more profitability and thus more dividends. So real estate, technology, dividend stocks, these are three sectors that are worth taking a look at and that are going to be propelled by a macro deregulatory push in the U.S. and perhaps in other parts of the world as well. Again, like I said, lower interest rates. And this is another macroeconomic factor that you should take a look at. It's the supply of money, the M2 Federal Reserve supply money. And this is essentially the amount of money that's being printed into the economy. As we can see, during the pandemic, the Fed printed a lot of money, and so this was correlated with a rally in the stock market and risk on assets like crypto as well. And this obviously caused a lot of inflation as well, but we can see now that it's starting to pick up again, which means it's positive for tech, positive for crypto, positive for the stock market in general. So if we take a look at inflation, even though inflation is way lower than it was in the past couple of years, but it's kind of stabilizing around 2% level. There's some speculation that the new administration may push inflation a little bit. It may be a bit inflationary because of all the stimulus and deregulation that it's going to create in the economy, but it's still to be seen. Central banks are still on track to lower interest rates, maybe at a lower pace, but lowering of interest rates is still on track for central banks. Now, the next sector I want to cover is technology. And this is what a quantum computer looks like, which is a really important piece of technology that we're going to be looking at in the next decade. I think it's a fundamental piece of technology. It's going to be super important, and I think it's going to be even bigger than AI. It's going to be like a piece complementary to AI, but it's going to be its own thing as well. Again, for technology, I think we have a good macroeconomic environment. Low interest rates, deregulation, AI demand, the demand of chips because of the AI industry is going to continue to grow and obviously benefit all the ancillary services that come around with that. in the business sector. So tech is definitely getting a boost from a good macroeconomic environment, demand for AI, and another tech sector that I think is worth taking a look at is quantum computing. So quantum computing is essentially a more sophisticated and way more powerful computer than the standard computer. Quantum computing uses quantum physics or quantum mechanics to operate, and it's essentially way faster, and it can solve problems that it would take millions of years to normal computers to do so in a matter of seconds. So there's more and more experimentation with quantum computing recently, which is paves the way for a more stable quantum computer, because you can't have one in your home. It's just too big, it's too bulky, it can even blow up. So it's unstable. Only few couple of companies have it, and they're experimenting more and more with it. Regardless, this is a technology that's going to solve a lot of problems, like creating new vaccines, developing new proteins for cancer, perhaps setting macroeconomic policy instead of having a person do it, because it can just crunch so much data and so many numbers so quickly and instantly that I think the most impressive problems it's going to solve is the ones that we can't even know it's going to solve at this point. But it's definitely in the future. I don't think too far ahead in the future, not 10 years, 15 years, but definitely 5 to 7 years. And with that being said, I think there's some good value to be had if you gain some exposure to the quantum computing sector. Like I said, it's early, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. The CEO of NVIDIA recently said that quantum technology is far away, 15 to 30 years. So this caused a massive decline, a strong decline in a lot of these stocks. As you can see, all these stocks are down hard this year. I mean, some are even down up to 48%, like Rigetti Computing, which is one of the newest ones. It's a good entry point. I think it's if whatever spare money you have outside of your big cap stocks, something that you're willing to more speculate with, I think it's worth taking a look at quantum computing. It's going to definitely be an industry that's going to be they're going to continue to experiment with it, and I think eventually in the future it's going to be a base layer of the tech sector in general. And I think it's going to be also a fundamental area to propel AI to new heights, because we're reaching the limits of the standard computers to keep up with demand of the AI cognitive load. So I think quantum computing is going to be the next infrastructure that we're going to need to go to the next level in AI general intelligence. So I do own QBT. I'm up 2,000% on this stock because I bought it in 2021, 2022, before the hype, before anybody knew about it. And I think, like I said, I think it's a good play right now, especially considering the fact that it's up 200% over the past 5 years, but I got in this dip when it was around $1. So it's definitely worth taking a look at, especially considering this recent dip, for some speculation that's going to be not useful until 15, 30 years, which I completely disagree. So these are the main stocks at the moment. QTM, IonQ, Rigetti Computing. These are some of the stocks that I think you should take a look at. D-Wave. These are one of the most popular. So Microsoft, IBM, Alphabet. These are all heavily invested in quantum computers because they see the potential of quantum computing in the future. Another good piece of technology that I want you to take a look at is edge computing. Edge computing is essentially like a decentralized network. Imagine a decentralized network of computers working in unison to provide a service. It's essentially what kind of IoT is. It's a type of edge computing. IoT is essentially what powers smart homes and what powers all these weather stations across the world that sense things like humidity and precipitation. And essentially, they work in unison to provide a stream of data. And we're going to continue to see more and more of edge computing technology in 2025. So it's definitely worth taking a look at as well. And the last sector I'm going to take a look at and talk about is crypto. I think crypto, we have a deregulatory push from the government. There's not just now institutional adoption in crypto, but it's also governmental adoption. The U.S. government wants to adopt it. They're looking at perhaps holding some Bitcoin as a reserve and the central bank. So we have more institutional adoption in 2024, and now I think in 2025 we're going to see more governmental adoption. There's been some governments like the government of Switzerland, Germany, some other European governments voicing their interest in keeping crypto as a reserve in their central banks. So it's an interesting development, and it's interesting to see that crypto initially kind of caught on because of the retail crowd. It started all in the deep web, right? It started all as an illegal thing. Bitcoin was an illegal thing that you used to use to buy stuff on the dark web. And then it went to the surface of the normal internet level, where everybody started using it and trading and speculating, essentially making its way to the retail crowd, and then eventually the institutional crowd. And now it's reaching governments, which is a really interesting kind of trickle down of technology adoption that I've never seen in my lifetime. I'm 28, and I've never seen a technology go from retail to government. I think it's really, really impressive how just the exponential curve of adoption has been happening in crypto. So within crypto, like I said, good economics, lower interest rates, deregulation, governmental adoption. I think within crypto, the key sectors worth taking a look at is stablecoins. I think stablecoins are going to be are going to cause a big efficiency in the financial industry, because with stablecoins, I can send money from the US to China in seconds and not go through the bank. So I'm not just avoiding the FX volatility risk of going from dollars to perhaps euros and then yuan, or from dollars to yuan, or whatever currency it is that I'm going through, but also I'm eliminating a lot of the spreads involved with these intermediaries and the commissions involved in making the wire. So it's cheaper, it's faster, and I don't see why businesses won't adopt it at some point. Instead of using Visa or MasterCard, why not simply accept payment on Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but stable coins, which is essentially as good as a dollar, and shaving off 3 to 5% fee that businesses pay on Visa, MasterCard, Amex as a payment terminal. So I think it's definitely something that is going to be adopted. It's not a matter of if, but when. I think stablecoins are definitely here to stay. So it's definitely a sector worth taking a look at. You're not going to get rich with stablecoins. You're not going to make a ton of money, but you could definitely leave some money in stablecoins and get more than, get a yield of 5%, 3% more than your bank gives you, because you can also lend stablecoins in different platforms. So stablecoins infrastructure is definitely a sector that in my 10 years of being in crypto, I've never seen gone away. Solana, Ethereum, Near, Avalanche, all these infrastructure base layers are not going to go away unless they're obviously replaced by a better one, but there's always going to be demand for infrastructure. So I think that's a sector you should always have a holding on in crypto. Always have a holding in infrastructure, always have Ethereum, always have Solana, unless something better comes up, then you roll it over to that other base infrastructure. We have the so-called Solana killers right now coming up, Sui, Sei, Aptos. These are contenders as well that it's worth taking a look at. And definitely AI is the most hype up narrative in crypto right now. I think AI is going to help automate a lot of the processes going on in crypto right now. So automate a lot of the DAO management. So a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, essentially a bunch of smart contracts. They run an operation. And I think the missing piece for a DAO is definitely AI. And I think that now that it's here, we're going to continue to see AI being integrated across crypto. Like I said, AI is a horizontal technology, not just going to be adopted in crypto, not just in any specific sector, but across various sectors. So with that in mind, I bring to a closure this outlook for 2025. I'm going to share with a link in the description this paper that I posted about the outlook. And I think for 2025, we're going to see something important happen. I think that usually when we're halfway through a route, so a good principle to look at is the round numbers principle. So this is a trading principle that I learned when I started trading a couple years ago. Usually when there's a round number, so for instance, 2,000, let's say price reaches 2,000 of an asset. Usually around round numbers, there is market dislocation, there's volatility because humans think in round numbers, so things happen in round numbers. Same thing goes for dates. So the year 2000 was the dot-com bust. And in 2020, we had the pandemic. So if you look closely, for instance, the Korean War started in 1950. in 1990 the German reunification happened. So I think being 2025 halfway through the round number, which is 2030, I think something's going to happen because it's midway through the Roaring Twenties decade. I think it's something either good or bad is going to happen. I'm not so sure, but regardless, this is the outlook. And even after I give you an outlook, make sure that you're prepared with the concept in mind that anything may happen. Just like in 2020, in 2020 we made all these projections about this and that is going to happen, but the pandemic, nobody saw it coming. So regardless of what outlook I give you, I think it's good for you to keep a flexible mindset and be prepared for anything, even the things you least expect to happen.